What's up, folks? It is Wednesday nights here in Tampa, Florida, and exactly where you guys are all around the world and overseas. And today we had a first taste of fall around here. We don't like cold. We don't do cold here in Florida. We don't like it too much. It's just not our thing, but it is refreshing though, because we had one hot summer. We had plenty of days over 100 degrees plus. So it's a good thing right now that it's a little bit chilly, but even better that the boys are heading to Arizona to play the game three tomorrow night at 5:07. Yes, we are talking basketball, but hey, can't forget where I come from, Philly. The Phillies are doing their thing. And we hope that they win game three, then take on game four and head back to Philly for the World Series. Because the last time we went back to back, if and when we get there, we end up winning the World Series. We won 07, lost it, win in 08, won it. Win in 79, lost it, win in 80, won it. So we're hoping that trajectory keeps going in that right direction. For the Eagles, not so much. Bad game this week, but it's, new day. Doesn't matter. Sixers, of course, getting to practice. Someone decided not to show up today. We may get into that a little later on. Shocking. Imagine that he wasn't there. But what's great is our guest tonight, Ganon Baker, keynote speaker and life development coach. And you talk about someone that has a lot of energy. You should see if you can work out with Gannon. I don't care if it's Planet Fitness, Planet, I don't know what to do, your Wheaties, whatever the case may be, because he can throw down some push-ups on some basketballs that I don't even know how in the world he does it, but he can explain it. And live with us this evening from Ganon Baker Basketball, Mr. Baker himself. Ganon, how are you this evening?
I am blessed and highly favored. Thank you for having me. It's a beautiful platform with some beautiful people. Anybody can do what I do. They just need to get repetitions. It's not magical. It's nothing, monumental. But I appreciate the kind words.
Oh, you're welcome. Listen, I would love to do it, but I would have to give, I'm to call Arnold or a couple of people to give me some wrist workouts because, and it's good. Don't get me wrong. I don't know, again, how you do it's all, I'm pretty sure in balance and obviously the life fundamentals, but you attribute to that as you have down there, inspiring people around the world, transforming lives. And a lot of that just comes from them super little fundamentals we end up doing and a lot of things that we take for granted because we hear all the time, especially when we're playing sports, it's the fundamentals. I don't know what happens in the adult years where the fundamentals start to go away. But as we grow into our sport, into our development, into our athlete being, that's the one thing that you talk about all the time is just, trying to transform yourself and then remembering those little fundamentals.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it all comes down to a person's why. You know, how passionate are they about what they do? I fell in love with basketball at the age of 8. I really started to work at it at the age of 13. I had some passionate coaches. I had some non-passionate coaches. I had some bad coaches. I had some good coaches. I just loved the game. So my why was rooted in cement. And if a person has significance and purpose, they'll pay attention to whatever they need to be great. And obviously fundamentals is part of every successful business, organization, player, team, because repetitions are the mother of success. So if they can get the fundamentals correct, it sets the stage and kind of bridges a gateway to everything else. And but for me, I love the game, and so I was an open mind and open heart. And if kids can never get that, if players on every level can never get that, sky's the limit.
All right. Mama Davis checking in from Southern California, 92 degrees. Is must be nice. It's okay. We're getting back there. We're at 83 today. So it was nice. Well, thanks for Mama Davis for checking in. We do appreciate it. And again, it's we've seen obviously the world evolves, the world changes. We've seen now super teams being created. At one point, it didn't seem that way, but now we're starting to see that looks like the NBA is starting to make that same track record again. So in your experience and watching these guys, and you had mentioned with Ron prior to the show coming on, and that's so I will say this much to the listeners that are listening on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game, also over at AMP Radio, of course, right here on broadcastsouth.com and over on YouTube. What you guys miss is all the before action that we get to talk about in the green room prior to us coming on air here. But when you have the guys you've seen before in the past, and now this current super teams that we've seen, the NBA, is it one of those things? And we all know it's drama filled, but is there a stranglehold, I guess, now on certain teams where if they build these super teams, it doesn't allow other teams essentially to grow?
You know, I don't know. I don't know about that. I never want to put limits on people. I mean, obviously every team is trying to get the big three, right?
Mhm.
And good for them. If that's their prerogative, cool. I grew up in an era where Isaiah Thomas did not want to play for anybody else. Larry Bird did not want to play for anybody else. Obviously, everybody knows Michael Jordan's story. If they haven't watched Netflix, go watch The Last Dance. It was just a different era and a different mindset. Now, there's options. There's more voices in people's, heads. A Dame Lillard, a LeBron, no problem. Um, but I just think that if people lock into coaching and organizations hire the best teachers and leaders they can at every position from the front office all the way down to the volunteers, I think everybody has a chance. I mean, look at the Miami Heat. They didn't have a big three, and they were in the NBA Finals. And so
Mhm.
I get
Hmm.
it, but I don't think it taints our game. And then if you look at the WNBA, they're trying to do the same thing, but I don't think it taints the WNBA game as well. Obviously, number one and number two in the finals. But moving forward with the opportunity for all these players to get better, and 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 there's more funding and resources in WNBA. I think we'll see more teams that don't have the big three be on the big stage. So me personally, I've never paid attention to that. I don't care. I mean, you can have a big four. Um, I think there's a lot of fight in underdogs because I was an underdog. So, but that's a great question and great issue to talk about.
All right. Well, thank you for the answer because, again, I just hope that we don't get to the point where these smaller market teams don't have the availability to be able to grab someone who's available on free agency because, again, you got to open up a lot of the checkbooks when it comes to some of these players. But I will now turn it over to Coach Mack. I know you had a question.
Yes, again, and I saw today, actually earlier, that you posted a video on Twitter, and one of the things that I've always stated to quite a bit of people that actually know me, for the most part, when it comes to the game of basketball, you have so many people that want to coach, but nobody wants to really take the time to teach. And with that being said, you talked about the Formula for Foundation. And what you basically stated as the first thing is what do you do to teach your athletes and kids first? The first thing you said was how to fight or compete, try to do your best. The second thing was how to keep going hard. The third thing was once one or two is learned, teach them the basics. So, with that being said, can you speak on the importance of teaching and not relying on natural talent or athleticism for these kids to really get a strong foundation?
Well, number one, thank you for studying and doing a little research there. That's a profound statement. I'm sure I got influenced by many coaches who put that in my head. But to reiterate what you said, like a lot of these trainers, because the training industry is crazy now. Like when I first started in year 2000, it was maybe me and a guy named Phil Handy, who's the assistant coach for the Los Angeles Lakers now, three-time NBA assistant world champion. He was doing it in Sacramento and then it's Australia. And now, you can throw a rock, 5 miles down the road and you got 100 trainers doing it. So I think, what people need to understand, as you said, is if you're trying to build the best version of somebody, whether it's soccer, football, basketball, get them to fight, not physically, but like try to win. Like whoever said it's not winning and losing, it's how you play, whatever that they said, right? It's not about winning and losing, it's how you play the game. No, it's how you act as a winner. Like we need, first and foremost, we need to teach these kids how to act like a winner, because if they have a chance, like if they're in the game and they look at the scoreboard and like, oh man, I could win this, they're gonna keep playing. They're gonna do it, it's addictive. People, life is the scoreboard. You know what I mean? So everything we do, we're looking for validation. We're looking for significance. Number two, if you go hard, that solves a lot of problems. And then number three, once you get those two, then let's teach them how to actually get an A in their sport. You know, it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So basically, the if you want to coach anything, you got to understand what a teacher is, and teaching is three things. Number one, it's execution. You have to be able to communicate and organize all your brain power and get them to understand what you're saying. It's not what you know, it's what you get them to do. Number two, it's relationships. All right. Now you got to be able to figure out what kind of learners you have, because you got shy kids, you got soft kids, you got silent kids, you got stupid kids, you got sensitive kids, you got scared. I call it seven S's of kids. Kids got seven S's and they're not good, you know? And then if you don't handle it, you have those seven S's as an adult. So once you get through that, then it's about, all right, consistency. They know who you are. They know what you bring. Can they trust you? Because as coaches, and I've done this, you know, as great as I think I am, I have lost a lot of kids with my passion because it pushed them away instead of pulled them in. Is what is building trust. What you say, what you do can ruin 5 years of foundation that you build. So you have to be in the moment, aware. You can't take for granted that practice that day. You have to have your self development, your wellness, your stress level, your um, sanity, so that you don't go into the practice field or the game and in one moment punch out a referee and now you're in jail. Like, that stuff happens. I don't know if anybody saw the viral videos of the Chargers and Cowboys game. Like,
Mhm.
Yes.
I actually, yeah, and I'm not that guy. I don't troll social media, but I was looking for something, and I came across it because I'm a Cowboy fan. I came across Cowboy, versus Chargers. I'm like, oh, let me look at it real quick. I thought it was some highlights, and there was all these fights, and so like people's lives probably were ruined for a while in that instance when they weren't thinking. Same thing for coaches. You could throw a ball at a kid. You could call a kid a loser, and that could affect the rest of their life. As a teacher, it's building trust. It's you know making sure that you have that relationship, and it's getting them to execute with your organization, your communication. So, great
Mhm.
question. I wish there were more teachers in my industry. If
Mm.
coaches understood that teaching is an art, they need to study it, they would have more wins and more retainment, in the high level jobs.
Now, I do have a question, Gannon, about something that you mentioned while we were backstage in regards to the camps that you and Ron used to put on back in the day and going down memory lane a little bit. And made a comment in regards to how if you were to put on that same type of camp in this current phase of where we are with basketball, that majority of the people would walk out, and men specifically. And I just wanted to know, what are some of the changes that you've seen that you feel would lead to this behavior? And what major shifts in basketball culture that has happened that would bring you to that conclusion?
Ron, you should chime in too. But the reason why I
Okay.
say that, now is because I started coaching as a summer job in 1993 at a camp called Five Star. So for 5 weeks during the summer, I was a coach at a camp, coaching some of the best players in the country uh, at a camp called Five Star. LeBron came through that camp. Chris Paul came through that camp. I then became a college coach at Division One, Division Two for 6 years. 95 to the year 2000, and then in the year 2000, I ran my own business, a skill trainer. So I've been coaching kids from 93 to the present. So I've seen the shift. I've seen the reaction that I had personally had with criticizing, with calling players out, with challenging them, with giving them the truth, you know. And I've seen how they reacted. And what has changed is the players struggle with pain.
Mhm.
Their
Mhm.
pain tolerance, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, and even financially. Right? A kid gets
Mhm.
an NIL deal now. Like I still have a vibe with college coaches. A kid got a NIL deal, right, for 35,000,
Mm.
and he was griping and complaining, and
Mm.
35,000 a year. And I'm like, hold up, like you're not Shakur Sanders, you're not getting 1.8. Like, are you kidding me? So even their social, even their financial,
Mhm.
right, pain, they can't take less than. They can't take the punches. And so what they do is they look for another option to transfer,
Mhm.
a scapegoat, and where leaders have gone, and it's because of the culture that has developed. High school coaches tap out, give in to them, don't address it, apologize, because they don't want to lose that great player because he'll transfer. And you have
Mm.
transfer opportunities now from middle school all the way up to professional. Look at James Harden. He just got paid. He just got guaranteed $18 million for the first, I think, 49 games with the Sixers, and he's
Mhm.
chilling in Houston saying, "Trade me or I'm not playing." And they're
Mhm.
like, "All right, we'll fine you 500,000." And he's like, "All right, where do I send the check?" Like it's become so hard for coaches to hold these players accountable because of the culture that most of basketball, and I'm not even saying elite, because that kid making 35,000 was a low Division I school.
Mhm.
So basketball industry has given so many kids an opportunity to say, "Oh, you know what, I don't like you because you're too hard. I'm gonna go somebody." I face it as a trainer, because now if a kid doesn't want to pay me, right, to train him, he'll go to some another trainer where I coach. The other trainer caters,
Mm.
right? Where I
Mhm.
kick where
Mhm.
I kick his ass, the other
Mhm.
trainer kisses his ass. Excuse my
Yeah.
language.
Mhm.
And so I'm willing to go to bed at night and say, I'm gonna be me, and God is my CEO.
Mhm.
You know what I
Right.
mean? God provides all my needs. I know what you need: the truth, you need the life, you need the way. Because my mission is I'm gonna teach you how to win in basketball and teach you how to win in life. And in life, if you're not the best version of yourself, when you look in the mirror, you're gonna know it, and then you're gonna dwell into the depression and the dungeon of despair, because kids can't, kids know, they know when they're getting over, and they know when they're wrong, and that's where depression sits in. And the best way to overcome depression is to help these kids with their identity.
Yeah.
Mm.
Big one.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry
Huge.
I didn't mean to go into mental health, but
I
that's the
mean,
root of it.
it
Yeah.
places
These
perspective.
kids are soft. They don't have a high pain tolerance. A lot of coaches struggle with teaching it. Thus, that's why most Nike players now would quit after the first day. That's why Nike pulled the plug, because it was
Mhm.
just too hard.
Mm.
Most I was in the meetings. Most kids didn't like it. They wanted to play. They liked the byproducts of Nike. They didn't like the product. They wanted to wear the Kobe's. They didn't want to be Kobe.
That's right.
They
Mm.
wanted to take a picture with LeBron. They didn't want to train like LeBron.
That's right.
All good. Just own that. And so me and Ron owned it, and here we are.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, yeah.
culturally,
Hey, two great questions from Coach Mike and Coach T. Gannon, like you said, going back our history of being around elite players, from 2008 until the present, being able to watch you work out LeBron, watch you work out CP3, Harrison Bonds, and a lot of the other guys was phenomenal. And those were guys that are alpha males that today are all stars. Like Kevin Durant's an MVP. Amari Stoudemire was a guy that would come to the gym and he would work out and sweat and be drained, and you'd be right there with him, sweating and draining. Those are the type of players that we used to look up to and say, hey, you bring in your A game to practice and to skill development. But today, there's a lot of players that want entitlements. And like you said, that $35,000 NIL deal, I'll be jumping all over. As a matter of fact,
Mm.
we listened to a guy, Mark, who came on the show that said that a Division 2 or 3 player got $250.
D3.
Uh, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, 250, I'd be in hog heaven for that back in the day when I was
Yes.
in school.
Hey, that'll get you VIP at the club. I know that.
You're right about that. But when you look at today's kids in the USA compared to the European kids, because the reason we was getting our butt kicked and the reason that Nike decided to go to the skills development by position camps and having guys like Kobe and all those other guys that I spoke of before to come in and be leaders and to show the young kids how to do what they needed to do. The European guys were getting up in the morning, working out, going to school, coming back in the evening, working out on their game. They were kicking our butt. And like today in the league, you got all these European guys who are just making mincemeat out of a lot of the American players. And that's what we was trying to get up to. Now you look at USA basketball just over the summer, they couldn't even get into
Mm.
getting a medal, and that's an
Yeah.
embarrassment for the USA, and that just shows you where basketball in the US is heading to. And the European guys are eating this up. So I can understand what you're talking about and the direction that basketball is going, skills wise and development wise, with the kids that are saying that they want to be the next NBA star today.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a turn, and it's not our kids' fault because in Europe, if you want to coach a kindergartner, you have to go through a test. You have to take a curriculum, and so
Mm.
there's a process. It's systematic. It's comprehensive. You don't get to coach older players until they vote on it, and so it's a barrier to entry to coach in Europe. In the United States, my neighbor could be a basketball AAU coach or skill trainer if he has a little bit of money and some
Mm.
competent people. And so I'm starting to do keynote speeches and talk to a lot of business schools around the country. I love it. And I just tell people, look, first and foremost, you just need a little money and people. That's how you start a business. That's how you build a business. Now, I'm an entrepreneur, so I bet on myself. I created money. I never took out a loan, but that's it's a no barrier entry in our industry, Ron, to be
Hmm.
a grassroots influencer, leader, coach, somebody like me and you. It's a beautiful thing, but it's a scary thing, and that's
So
and that's why
is.
you see the problems, that at the elite level we're having now. We're going to change all that in Paris because we're going to send our top people
Yeah.
and we're going to win the gold medal. But outside of our top 13, you go 13, you go 14 to 50. I mean, it's 50-50, man. You never know.
That's right.
Europe is caught up. If you look at our all NBA, all WNBA team, 50% of it is overseas.
I
That's
will
true.
say a difference that I noticed when I had the experience to go play overseas is that from a young age, they get the opportunity to go up against high level players who are professionals.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Great point.
I was playing in Sweden, for example, for girls that were in high school, the top players, they would come practice with us. So here they're getting the experience to practice with the professional team and go up against Americans who have went through four-year universities and who have all these years of playing experience, and they're only 14, 15 years old. So I know that makes a huge difference, because I can only imagine if I would have had the opportunity at 15 to play against professionals who, have played for good coaches, have went through university and had that experience, we'd be looking at a different style of play. So I will say that is a nice advantage that they do have. Make it a point to give them that experience over there.
That's a great point. 100%. Because, as we all know, as hoopers, assimilation by association, if you just play against some older OGs,
Hmm.
and if you have half a game, you're going to get better. And
Hmm.
we just don't have that environment in the state. So that's a great point.
Hey, Gannon, I wanted to ask you the question as far as working out the multiple of NBA All Stars, like LeBron and CP and Kevin and the rest of those guys, Kobe as well. Which one was the hardest worker when they came to the gym that you had to really say, like, I gotta really be on my P's and Q today with this guy?
Man, all of them,
Hey,
all of them. But you know what? And this, and Ron, unintentionally, this is where men kind of subconsciously don't get it. My answer is Maya Moore, who's a woman.
okay.
Love her.
Love
Like,
it.
You
she-
can.
you know, like, and again, I was only with Kobe for 8 days. I had a chance to follow Kobe and be with Kobe, but my calling was the world. Like,
Hmm.
I was just never called to be with one guy, but Kobe was Kobe, no problem. But I was with Maya for a long time. So, but Maya would, like, she was. I had to tell her, look, can you smile? Can we have some fun? Like she was so locked in, and then she was like that as an eighth grader. So I had her as an eighth grader with Nike. As you know, Nike would do these regional events with girls,
Yeah.
and then we had Nike skills, and then her Minnesota Lynx coach saw me at the Nike coaching clinic and said, "Hey, you need to come with us for a year and pop in and out." And so I was with Maya her last year. So her last year, her attitude and her approach to the game was the same as when I met her as an eighth grader. I mean,
Hmm.
it was
Nice.
fascinating. Yeah, and so obviously I didn't meet Kobe as a young kid, but Maya Moore was just so serious about the game.
Well,
And
I got to meet Myra Moore when she was in high school because her and the guy that I took care of, Alpha Lu Amino, they both went to the same high school. So I
Georgia
got
Tech,
to
yeah,
no, 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 no. I'm talking high school.
right,
Uh,
right. But Amino went to Georgia Tech, right?
no, he went to Wake Forest.
Wake Forest, okay.
Okay, and I got to know Myra when she was in high school, when she was a junior and senior. So I got to be around her and watch her play before she went to college. So it was like you said, she was all business because she went with one of the guys on the basketball team, and he was another guy that I had up under my wing. So I got to know her pretty well. And you were right; it's very serious. Came to the gym every day, with that passion,
Yeah,
excitement, and that work ethic.
yeah. And I would say the guy would be Chris Paul, because Chris Paul would call you out. Hey, that was a bad pass. Hey, Gannon, you're not. You got to watch him. Like, he would hold you accountable. Like, he wasn't afraid to express himself. So I had Chris as an eighth grader, ninth grader, junior,
Hmm.
LA Clipper. So when he got to the NBA, he started talking back to me. I'm like, man, you didn't talk back to me in college and high school. So like, I like, and so it was awesome because, to me, as a leader, as a coach, you have to speak with conviction, and you have to have a resolution out of every confrontation. It can't just be F you, F you, forget you, do what I say. No, If there's an FU after it, it has to be an educate you.
Mhm.
So I always tell Chris, all right, man, if you're doubting me, then educate me, man. And half the time he was right, the other half the time I was right. And so it was cool because when I left a session with Chris or Kobe, I was like, man, I got better as a coach.
Mhm.
Mm.
Amari would never, Amari would be cool, LeBron, KD, but like Chris and Kobe, they would, what the hell we doing that for? Why are we doing that for? Like, we ain't doing that in the game. And so you had to sell what you were teaching. And that's awesome because if you can sell it to the Hall of Famers, you can sell it to anybody else.
Mhm.
So,
You know,
Gannon, let me ask you this because you said um, a lot of golden nuggets, but one of the things that just stood out was that you were training these players at a very young age and still are basically training them. If you could give like maybe three key factors to trainers, what would some success keys that you will tell them to help them have a successful training business and to grow it?
wow. So I told you, Ron and Angel, man, like women are smarter than us, man. Like
Especially
they're asking,
this
they're
one right
their
here.
questions are way above and beyond the questions that you guys are asking.
Man, I'm learning,
Um,
girl. Man, I'm
amazing,
learning.
amazing question. Number one, it's not about you. It's not about your brand. It's not about you getting better. That's part of it. No question. Like you're a human. You need to be filled. It's about the athlete. So see them. Players
Mm,
tell on themselves. Well, what does that mean, coach? Know everything about your industry. Have no question that they ask you that you don't have an answer for. Like study
Mhm.
your stuff. So
mm,
basketball is real easy. As a coach, you're teaching them how to win in basketball, win in life. You're teaching them ODC, offense, defense, culture. Under offense and defense, you got basics, moves and counters, team concepts. Under culture, you got 6 Hall of Fame behaviors that winners do to win. I said a few of them today. Like you got to know
Mhm.
your stuff so that you can focus on them. You're a mirror as a coach. You praise right, you correct wrong. You take their mind and body to a place where they've never been, even if it's LeBron. Be so good as a coach that you can see LeBron and you go, there's another level I can take you to. What? I'm the leading scorer in the NBA. I know, but so well you got to be well versed so you can deposit, you know, everything you got, everything they're missing into your players. Number two, you can't teach what you don't have. So
mm,
don't try to be a fake. Don't try to be a phony. Don't try to be a fraud. If you don't have it, don't teach it. It's okay.
Mhm.
But you try to teach toughness, you're not tough. No problem.
mm,
That's okay.
that part.
Teach it. You're trying to teach a point guard, but you don't really understand a point guard. Don't teach it. It's okay to say, you know what, you probably need to go to this guy or go see that. I've done that many times,
Mhm.
especially early on when a kid said, man, I get real nervous in games and I'm messed up in my head. And I say it like this, probably it's not politically correct. I'm like, man, you need to go see a shrink, man. I can't help you with that. And they're like, what do you mean? Nah, you need to go see a psychologist, a counselor. Like, I can't help. I don't know. And so, and they're like, well, what do you think? And now I would tell them what I think, but I'm like, you got to follow it up with a professional. Now I can tell them professional stuff because I've studied it. But
Mhm.
but you can't teach what you don't possess. And number three, no matter what, no matter what, you're you're a trainer, you run a business, you're a coach, you run a program. You have to know your why, and your why has to depend on significance as a human, not success. It's not about making $1 million, winning, keeping your job. It's about acting like a winner. It's
Mhm.
Mm,
about the process, the journey, the self development. Like, you can't beat yourself up if you don't achieve your goals. It's great to have goals, but you're not a loser if you don't achieve those goals. It's the process. So it's the identity to know that, you know what, if you do your best, guess what? God's gonna do the rest. Like, He's got you're making this significant. It's not about, because I've trained many players that didn't make it. I've trained many trainers that, you know what, they couldn't sustain a 10-year business, but I did the very best I could.
Hmm.
And so I don't look at them as losses. I look at, you know what, they're going to find their way in something else because I deposited, seeds of life into them. And so, a great question. I'm not sure I've gotten that recently, so I hope I answered
You
respectfully.
did. And I have a follow up if you don't mind. So I want to talk
Sure.
about the mental, the emotional, and the visual aspect of the game. I was talking to, I think it was a group of fourth through ninth graders the other day on a Zoom call. Um, and I was telling some of the parents, and some of the parents just asking me about, I have a kid that's in fourth grade and I don't feel like she's tough enough, and, and stuff such as that. And so one of the things that I wanted to make sure that they understood, especially since they're at such a young age, is understanding the creativity, having an imagination, how important it is, especially so young. And I can say that understanding the emotional side of it is very key too, especially by them being so young. So can you just really speak on the importance of the mental, emotional, the visual aspect of the game, and how you've seen, great players use it and be successful in their game?
I'm not sure I'm gonna answer that question because my mind is on what you just said about the fourth grader not being tough. Let's unpack that, Coach Mack, and then you can
Yeah.
re-ask that question because I can't multitask like my wife. because
Get
because
on with some heavy hitters, Coach Mac. You
I'm
hit
I'm
Coach
I've been
Coach
waiting for
Mack
you,
is
Ganny.
something
I've been
else,
waiting for you.
man.
I've been
haymakers
waiting for
right
you.
now.
He-
Coach Mack, like when you said that, bombs were just,
Yeah.
if I was 10 years, 15 years younger, I would have interrupted you, which would be disrespectful.
Yep. I literally had a parent who was like, she's not tough enough. And I'm like, okay, first off, meet her where she's at. Do you understand the type of
Man,
player that she is?
you don't need
And
my answer, Coach Mack. They even.
well, for those that don't have a daily conversation with me but are here for you, I think they would love to hear your answer if that's okay.
Well, those
But yeah,
those give
because
me those parents' phone number. I promise you, I'll text tomorrow. No, I will do that. I will do that.
I know you would. I
I
know.
think
I mean, you know me,
I
Ron.
love it.
My call. I'm not. I'm who I am, but I'll call
Yeah, you
anybody.
genuine,
Hey,
babe.
yo,
You genuine.
I
um, like these kids are fourth grade. They're 9, 10 years old.
Yep.
Their nature is not to be tough. Their nature is to tap out. Their nature is to take the easy. Like, what are we trying to do? Like
Yeah.
70%, USA Today statistics, 70% of kids that go into high school, 14 years old, quit sports
mm,
Hmm.
because
Mm,
number one, they didn't have fun because their parents and or their coaches are getting on them because they have false expectations
mm.
of something that
mm-hmm.
kid can't do unless he's a phenom. Like
Hmm.
my kids are my kids, but they're not like tough. They're not. They're killers in their own way, but they're not because they're 9 and 10. So why are we wanting our kids to act like Russell Westbrook at 9, 10 years old? Like that's so okay. The kid gets soft and cry. Okay, okay? You want to finish the practice? No, you're not quitting. Finish practice. Okay, good. Did you like practice? No, it sucked. Okay, well, what do you want to do now? Let's go to McDonald's. Okay, let's go to McDonald's. Thank. I'm proud of you, son, for finishing practice. Well, what do you think, Dad? What you want me to tell you what I think? Yeah, yeah. Pop, well, I think you were soft. You weren't tough. Well, shut up, Dad. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, be honest,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
don't. Now, if the kid is 14, hey, son, you going? We going to 7-Eleven. We ain't going to McDonald's because here's why. Tell them the truth because when a kid's 14, 15, there's an age and there's a maturation that he's got to understand some things.
Mhm.
But at 9,
Mhm.
10, 11, come on, man. Just like it. And again, I'm not speaking from what I think. I got 3 kids. I treat my 13, almost 14-year-old daughter way different than I treat my 9-year-old. And my 7-year-old is sunshine and rainbows. I don't want to go to practice today, Dad. Oh, you don't? Okay, no problem, son. What do you want to do? Let's go swimming. Okay, 9-year-old. Hey, I don't want to go. Man, you got to go to practice, son. You committed. 13-year-old. Man, you're going to practice, and girl, you better work like you Maya Moore. Let's go.
Love it.
You know what I mean? So
I don't think so.
you know what I mean? Like, and so yes, there is a mental aspect to it. There is a physical. Coaches can teach that, but disappointment is the child of false expectations.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
nature of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 year olds is non-commitment.
Mhm.
That's the nature. The nature of teenagers. I mean, I got the 5 I's: inconsistency, ignorance, insecurity, inconsistency, but impressionability. You know what I mean? So, like, that's the nature. They're at the height of their ignorance when they turn a teenager. Kids aren't committed. They're not tough. They're kids. So you have to
Mhm.
Mhm.
understand the nature of a thing. You wouldn't, be disappointed at a dog that's barking, would you? I mean, that's what dogs do. So you got to understand the nature of kids, and the only way to do that is to study, research. So again, I'm off. I'm teaching. Give me 20 seconds. When I go pick my daughter up from her work, I got 30 minutes. I'm not listening to talk radio. I'm not listening to Angel, LaRon, respectfully. I'm on Blinkist. I'm on podcast. Listen to how to raise teenagers, how to be a better dad, how to be a better
Mhm.
leader, the trends of parenthood. Like, I'm learning. I'm getting information on. All right, I got these kids, these humans. How do I train them? How do I coach them? So that's what we need to do as parents. We don't need to assume and think, oh, well, you need to be tough. Yes, but there's a certain level. So if you're a parent, freaking study it. Because if parents do their job, coaches and teachers and leaders would have way easier
Woo.
journey.
Oh yeah.
Preach it.
Yeah. I
But
think
Pop,
it reminds me, Coach Mac, of a conversation that we had on a previous show about the unrealistic expectations of parents right now.
Mhm.
mhm.
I am, again, I have been helping coach a first grade boys basketball team. And going into the gym at these AAU games, it's insane. I mean, I grew up playing AAU at an early age. So, just from my experience to now, the pressures of the parents on these young children who I'm like, you're yelling things out. Do they even know what that means? It's like I don't even know if they they are still trying to not follow the ball, not chase the ball, and just stay with their man. I mean, it's
Mhm.
basic concepts that they haven't grasped, but these unrealistic expectations, like to expect a fourth grader to
Correct.
be tough, and and that a lot of the times, a lot of kids that quit sports before high school and during high school, a lot of the time it wasn't fun because of
Mhm.
two things, which is always coaches and parents,
Mhm.
where they felt like they were forced to go. They felt like now they start creating these feelings mentally that they're not good enough because they're not meeting these unrealistic expectations that have been
Mhm.
placed on them. So it really is unfortunate, and I think it kind of plays a factor as well, like parents and coaches playing a factor in the lack of accountability that athletes have as well. Like I'm with you, Gannon. If you commit to something, go ahead and ride it out. You know, fulfill the commitment. But also, I'm not going to put this pressure on you that I'm expecting you to be able to go out there and knock down these shots and play, MVP level of defense and have this outstanding performance day in and day out. I mean, it's just really unrealistic. But I definitely feel like a factor in that is this everybody's a winner culture that we have moved to. And I know, I've been told that I sound kind of harsh with this, and maybe it's the competitive nature that I've always had, but this everybody wins, everybody get a trophy. It just creates this sense of falsehood that I'm better than what I am. And I know that sounds terrible, but everybody is not a winner. And sometimes, winning and losing early on teaches a lot of life lessons. Sports have
Mhm.
so many life lessons that go beyond just your sport. And when we take that factor away that, hey, you have to know how to lose the same way that you know how to win. Not
Mhm.
saying accept losing, but understanding that you're not going to win every time. You're not going to be number one every single time. And some days are not your days. So I definitely think that plays into the culture of the softness that I feel that it is. Like you can't tell them anything. They don't want to be told anything. They're not coachable. It just becomes really difficult, I feel like, from a coach's perspective to actually be able to teach.
Yeah, I mean, to Ray, you said it, man. The kids got to take the punches, and coaches got to learn how to teach the kids to take the punches. And it goes back full circle to our Nike question. A lot of these elite players, James Harden is playing it out. Like
Mhm.
they
Mm-hmm.
don't
Mhm.
Perfect
have a
example.
high paint tolerance. They don't have a high paint tolerance. They don't. And I'm not, talking to James Harden behind his back. I mean, my company in China right now uh, hosted James Harden,
Mm,
and I had an opportunity to go with him and work with him, and travel with him, give him work. And I said no. I said no. And if James got a problem with that, I'll tell him no. Because I trained him, as you know, Ron, when he was
Mm-hmm.
at Arizona State, when I was
That's
with
right.
Amari, and James Harden pre-beard, before the beard, he would open up. He would open up the gym. He's a freshman, sophomore, and he never wanted to work out with us because it was hard, and we went,
Mm-hmm.
and it would expose him.
mhm,
But he would come over to Mari's condo and play pool and be at the pool parties and MTV DJs and all the models and all that. And I'm like, yo, James, you want the byproducts in the NBA, but you don't want to dig into the NBA. NBA
Mhm.
is no boys allowed. You acting like a boy. And man, I would tell him that. I'm like, man, work out with us, man. Oh, nah, man, I'm good. I'm good. So
Yeah.
like kids don't want the smoke, man. They talk about it, and it all goes back to what you just said, Coach Johnson. So they need to experience pain early. However, when they experience pain, I think where we miss the boat is coaches don't give them solutions.
mhm,
So like
Mhm.
kids have a bad experience, kids get embarrassed, they're hurt.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. Who's there to give them the medicine? Who's there to give them the lesson? Kobe always said, every time I lost, I learned. He
Mm-hmm.
said
Mhm.
that in Spain when he lived, because in Spain, they're like, hey, but here's what we do tomorrow. So there was
Mm-hmm.
always a lesson. Hey, you coaches, get out of here, man. Y'all sick. Y'all tired of y'all. Y'all disgust me.
Yep. Yep.
All right, all right, all right. Now today's a new day. We got to get better. Yo, y'all better
Yep.
show up today. Let's go on 3, 4. You guys gonna be on
Yep.
the bench. Like, okay, give
Yep.
kids solutions. Oh, they don't possess solutions because they was in a club that night instead of working on their game as a coach. They're chasing the players' mamas instead of reading
Woo.
innovative
Oh
books.
my
True
goodness.
story. I'm
I
being
feel like you
real. Like,
talking about my summer. I feel like you talking about my summer right now, Gannon.
Did
FYI, my
he
I,
not
I
summer.
tell you the whole truth?
And nothing but my whole summer.
Listen,
I spoke, Ron. I spoke at the Phenom camp this summer in LA. 900 kids. They broke the Guinness Book of World Records
That's
for the
Danos
biggest
is
camp ever.
Danos, right?
Yep. And I had so many coaches and parents come up to me, man, I love what you do. Man, coach, man, awesome. I'm like, well, here's my number. I got a free drill book I can send you. I out of 900 coaches, so you're looking at 900 kids. So you got 100 coaches coaching 900 kids. I had 10 coaches hit me up and say, "Hey, you got that drill book?"
Wow.
Wow.
Like 90%, they give you props, but they don't want to practice,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and that's why these kids, they do experience pain, but nobody's there to teach them the lesson. And so, you know what? I've made a living off that. Parents
Hmm.
recognize that. They hire me and they're continuing to hire me, which is awesome. But there needs to be more, like you guys said, there needs to be more teachers.
Mhm.
Uh,
Hey, I want to go back to what Coach T said. Coach T, that was well said. The, what you told Gannon, and Gannon, you answered it. I like the way you answered that question that she had. That was good.
Thanks, Ron.
Uh, you guys have been talking about as far as like the participation trophies and stuff. Now I will tell you from the Philly side of the house, I'm just going to do a little throwback here because the conversation will be completely different. Now I've seen it in Florida when I was with the school district about the parents coming up and talking to the coaches and saying, "Hey, how come little Johnny ain't playing?" In Philly, the conversation, and I'll make sure I catch myself, would sound something like this: when the parent would come up to the coach and say to the coach, "Excuse me. How come my child's been playing?" What child? That one? What? Oh, him. Let me tell you about your son. And you would have to censor the whole entire conversation because you can't tell me as a child, like my mom, God, listen, I love my mom. I will always love my mom. Thank God she's still alive. And I'm throwing this back to 1979. Yes, we're going back that far. When I tried out for baseball for the first time, and mind you, my dad, because he worked all the time, he didn't have the opportunity to play catch with me. So the one time she walked up to my coach, mind you, my mom spoke to him in Spanish, which then I had to translate to him because he didn't speak Spanish. But she said, "How come my son do that thing?" And the coach was like, "What? It's the thing. How come they don't do that thing?" And my coach was like, "What?" So I said, "Mom, just tell me." Now, mind you, I'm translating this in Spanish to him, but my mom said, "Tell him why you can't catch the ball." I'm like, "Why? Are you crazy? Just tell him." I'm like, "Okay." So my mom wants to know why I can't catch the ball. So the guy looked at my mother and said, "You want to know why your son can't catch the ball? Okay, man, stand back for a second. Angel, watch this." Throws the ball up in the air, and because I didn't have that fundamental, when the ball would come, grasp the ball with the glove, right? So it would hit the glove, the ball as it rolled out, then I try to grab it. And the coach said, "Until your son learns how to do that, then he'll be in the game." So my mother still looked and said, "I don't understand. Everybody play except for your son." And so if I would hit the censor button again, that's when the son, he was like, "Oh," my mom was like, "Okay, okay, okay, I understand." But that's the way it was back in the day. Now it's a whole different story because you have to tippy toe over so many things. And honestly,
Mhm.
it drives me nuts because it's one of those things. Why can't I'm not saying you got to grab the kid and throw him up in the air and be like, "What's wrong with you?" But it should be one of those things like, let me step away from the parent for a second. Come here, let's talk. And have that heart to heart talk. Because the more we coddle these kids, the more that we become the helicopters, the more that we keep giving away participation ribbons and trophies or certificates,
Mhm.
no one's going to learn. So then when you get to college level and the coach says, "Where did you play?" I didn't have to play, coach, because they gave me a participation trophy. See, look, here it is.
When I ran my basketball camp at the health club, I wouldn't give every kid a trophy. The guy who owned the club came up to me and said, "Ron, you got to give everybody a trophy." I said, "Well, they don't. Everybody didn't earn a trophy." I don't care. These parents are coming up to me and saying, like, "Hey, my son didn't get a trophy." So he's thinking like he's going to be losing money because they club members, okay? So he said, "Everybody gets a trophy." I'm like, "Okay, you know, everybody gets a trophy, even though they didn't earn it." Just because the parents will come up and saying like, we paid this much money to come to his
Mhm.
basketball camp or his clinic, and my son, who really didn't do anything, who really didn't want to participate, just because you paid so much money for him to come there to learn how to play the game of basketball, didn't want to play the game, and that wasn't what was on his mind. He would rather do something else.
Right.
But still, you wanted him to receive a trophy or a ribbon or something. So it's like you said, that's the way the nature of the game is with some parents.
He was probably more hyped about the Gatorade than the game.
He, he was hyped by going swimming more than anything.
Right? It's just it's amazing how much life has evolved. It's amazing how the life continues to evolve today. Certain things, of course, they can get better. Some other things, there's no rhyme or reason for it. But it makes me laugh where we can't do things. Okay, let me backtrack that one for a second. We can do things the way we were raised and tell that to our children. It's when you talk to the other kids and the parent says, "Excuse me, who do you think you're talking to?" I'm sorry, did I stutter? Because the last time I checked, your kid is on my team. So either A, they like the way I coach, or do things otherwise.
Mhm.
Angel, great point, but my rebuttal is you can. Like you can coach hard.
Right.
Today, 2023, you can coach hard. Deion Sanders, he's doing it.
Ooh,
Yep.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna give you a female, Dawn Staley.
Mhm.
Yes.
yes.
She's doing it. My wife, who nobody knows, MJ Baker, she's turned around every program she's coached. She has a 75% winning percentage in Division II
Nice.
JUCO NAIA. She's going to go into the JUCO Florida Hall of Fame. Last year, team was number one, number two in the country. This year, the preseason number three. My point is, she's been coaching college for 15 years. Nobody's transferred
Mm.
ever,
Nice.
and she would tell you, "You suck right now. Get out of my gym. You don't deserve." She coaches hard. Why didn't they transfer? Because she knows they're human. So what she said broke that kid for the next 3 4 hours. I need to go see that kid in her dorm. I need to go take her out for dinner. I need to send her a text and say,
Hmm.
"Love you, baby girl. It's all a process. Come see me tomorrow. We'll get some coffee." Like she loves them. She's a mom.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Basically, she has them over to our house. She invites these kids into our lives. We spend all kind of resources, time, talents, treasures to help these kids. We make calls for we our inconvenience is less than their impact.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
we value impact more than inconvenience and that's how you do it. I've done it for 24 years. Ron, you know me, man.
Yeah.
Like I tell it like it is. I coach kids for real. I'll tell a James Harden, look, get the hell out the gym. You suck. You don't deserve to play in the NBA. I can't believe you don't even have a chip, dog. Why are you acting like that? Right?
Hmm.
And I've been doing it 24 years, and parents pay me tips when I tell them, look, I'm not training your son anymore. He don't deserve it. They're like, no, and I'll pay you double. No, no, no. You're not my customer. No, you're not. You're not my client. You're a disrespectful player. You don't value my time. What you
Mhm.
dishonor, you can't access. It's the law of honor. What you
Hmm.
honor, you
Mhm.
can access. What you dishonor, you can't access. You may never have it again.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So, all of it is in the Bible. You don't honor Jesus, you can't understand his parables.
Yep.
Anyway, my point is you can coach hard and be yourself, but you got to master your craft. You got to get
Mm.
repetition. You got to get coaching reps.
Yeah. In today's
So
game, you got to be a
today's game,
psychologist and a coach.
Yep. And
Mm,
Ron, I'll give you your flowers, man. You and Vince and all these guys, man, that did your job at Nike. Y'all got reps. Like y'all were great at what you do. Now you got a lot of fanboys at Nike. You got a lot of dudes that they cater and kiss butts and they network, but they
mm,
have no net worth.
mhm,
And that's where it's not Nike, it's every grassroots shoe industry has these guys that are great at catering, making kids feel good, so that they sign that multi-million-dollar contract with Reebok,
Mm-hmm.
Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, whatever. It is what it is. And so you got to be strong as a trainer or a leader to know your why. If that's your
mm.
why, then you'll be able to handle that. If that's not your why, you can't be you, and you're gonna be pissing people off, and they're gonna say, you know what, be an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
do your own stuff, but you can't work with us because we got to keep these guys
Mm.
engaged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
I
we
just
got
wanted to say that my boy Lewis Preston was on the show about a couple of weeks ago, and
No,
he, yes, and
my
he
man,
said a lot of good things about you. I'm not going to say what he told me after the show, but anyway, and also I
good
had a
dude.
word with our guy Kevin Eastman, and you
Oh,
know how you and Eastman is, and I don't know if these guys know who Kevin Eastman is, but he's the guy that really brought you in to the
he
fold with
did.
Nike
Yeah,
when I first met you, and it was down in at Boo Williams event in it was in Hampton, Virginia,
yeah.
in your
So
neck of the woods.
Boo and Kevin brought me in. Yep,
Hmm.
yep. Amazing.
Nice.
Two guys from Virginia,
It's a state for lovers, man. Virginia's for lovers.
and that's where you're from,
Hampton, Virginia, man.
Hampton,
Home
Virginia.
Bubba Chuck, Allen Iverson,
Allen Iverson, the
Boo
answer.
Williams. Boo Williams, man. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So again, I know you have like an online program, I guess, or like a mentorship program on your website. Is how can coaches, I guess, access that to learn some things from you and things as such?
Well, thank you. Yeah, we have a online program, a coaching portal you can view. There's a lot of free stuff on there. You can go to our YouTube page, just type in Ganon, Ganon Baker, basketball. I'm easy to find. We have certain tiers of levels of mentoring, and if you want to sacrifice and invest, obviously, there are ways you can get me live, and I can come to your own hometown. But there's no question unanswered. So any question you have about basketball, coaching, business, we have all the answers. We have the solutions, um, multiple solutions that you can try and create a journey of your own. So yeah, God bless social media and the internet. It's easy to get in touch with us.
Hey, Gannon, this is the last question I have for you, man. I just want to know, you had a job offer with the Boston Celtics, and I knew Kevin was there doing a developmental uh, for the Boston Celtics, and then he moved up to become the assistant coach. Why did you turn that position down?
Yeah, the Celtics and the Wizards.
Mm.
Mm,
And then just recently the Lakers. It's not my
mm,
why. It's not my why.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with yeah. It wasn't my calling, man. My calling. When I started my business, I prayed on it, Ron. I read the Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren.
mm-hmm.
I journaled. I read the Prayer of Jabez by
Great
Bruce
book.
Wilkerson. I was in solitude. Um, for 4 months because I was hurt. I was in a cast. I couldn't leave my house, my parents'
Mm-hmm.
house. I actually started my business in my parents' house. I came back from Iceland. Had about 20,000 in the bank. Had surgery. Just got trying to figure out my life at the age of 28. And I knew that he wanted me to be a global missionary, man. He wanted me to spread the word of how to win in basketball and how to help these kids win in life outside of basketball. Because, like me, If I didn't find my faith in Jesus Christ, I would have found my idol in basketball. Like basketball was
Mhm.
my life.
Mm.
And yes, basketball can change your life. Winning can change your life. You just got to know the purpose behind it and the manufacturer behind all that. So basketball became my rod and staff and a platform to help kids and people find their purpose in life. And it's having a relationship with God, you know. So nothing, not saying that you can't do that in the NBA, but I was just never, it just never hit me like, okay, that's what I have to do.
Mhm.
5 years later, the Wizards twice, offered me a job, and then just recently, I had a chance to join the Lakers on a low level to get in, but it's just not. It's not who I am. It's not my.
Mhm.
It's not my calling, and that's a great question because so many people in my industry chase butterflies because
Mhm.
they look at popularity and paychecks and byproducts of basketball, but like, why did you get into it in the first place? So stick with
Mhm.
that. And I got into it to help my community, my family, and people achieve their dreams in basketball. That's why I did it. I don't have,
Mhm.
in the NBA, you only, again, to break it down, in the NBA, you only train 13, 14 guys all year round.
Mhm.
Ron,
Mm.
I can train the world, man. I've been to 52 countries,
Wow.
6 continents. I get messages literally every day from a different country. So
Wow.
I'm touching the world, and it fulfills me.
In all 50 states.
48, man.
Oh yeah, okay.
I have not been to New Hampshire or North Dakota.
Mm.
So, hey, if y'all are out there, I'll take a pay cut just to say I've been to all 50 states.
you have to go hunt a Bryson out there.
New Hampshire and any good players in New Hampshire and North Dakota? Mike
Uh,
Miller was he from
he
North?
was from there, but he moved out of there.
Oh, okay, New Hampshire. The kid, redheaded kid, right? Played for the
I don't
Celtics.
re- I don't remember him. It wasn't Brian Scalabrine, huh? He was from
Uh,
California.
yeah, but he moved to Maine
Oh, okay.
because I trained his AAU team. Yeah, in
Okay,
Maine.
so it must have been Brian Scalabrine then. Okay.
Brian Scalabrine was. So I don't know who's from New Hampshire.
I don't
I
know.
don't know, but those are only 2 states, man.
Well,
Well, look, y'all must be good because y'all got me on here an hour and 8 minutes. Because most of the time I'll be like, all right, I gotta go. My kids, well, I got
Gannon,
my kids.
Gannon, bring the A
Y'all got
team,
me.
man. When we come, we come
Y'all
with
got
the
me
A
fired up,
team,
man.
bro.
Y'all got me engaged. The A team,
Huh?
Coach
Bring the
Mack,
A
Coach
team, bro. We
Johnson.
don't play. You know we don't play, Gannon.
Yeah, man.
You know when I come to the gym, I'm ready. I'm prepared for you.
Y'all got me going. So I appreciate y'all having me.
all
Thanks
right,
for
no
coming.
problem.
On.
Thank you for taking the time for coming on with us today. I was trying to get hopefully a surprise guest, but I'm being surprised by not getting a response back. So maybe, hopefully before we sign off here, but I want to get into it here a little bit because we know that the Aces are playing the Liberty. Our coaching
Yes.
coach unscripted segment
We're
that we
missing
like
the
to pop
game
in.
too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Liberty right now up by 9 at the half, but
Okay.
Ugh.
I would like to get, I guess, Coach Mack, starting with you. And I know you guys had messaged earlier saying that you like to see the Aces close those out, but I mean, it's only at the half, down by 9. Do the Aces still pull it off?
I mean, I think there's still a possibility. Obviously, I'm not watching the game, so I don't know what the matchup is right now because I think that's going to be key as far as how the Aces will be successful. I would guess that Kelsey is probably going to run point because I did see that a little bit towards the end of the game, the other game the other day, that she was having a run point, which is going to be interesting because she's used to pretty much being the shooter, but at the same time, she's still pretty good as far as distributing and things such as that. So I think that's going to be pretty good. I think the speed of the game for the Aces may be just a tad bit slower since Chelsea is not there. Rebounding, I think, is going to be key since Kia Stokes is out as well. So yeah, I think they can still pull it off. I think it's going to be tough, especially considering that they are in New York, and we all know that that's a very tough atmosphere to play in. Um, but it's doable. So I'm still rooting for my Aces. I'm not gonna give I'm not gonna give up on them. I mean, I think Becky is a phenomenal coach. She's extremely intelligent, very smart, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna make the adjustments that they need. The one thing I know that the Aces will need to do is definitely guard the 3-point line, because that's something they gave entirely too much of in the last game. And so, as you saw, Liberty pretty much had free reign, and they shot the Aces from the 3-point line, which is surprising because that's pretty much what the Aces is known for. They you know they're killers. They're snipers on that 3-point line. So yeah, I'm still rooting for my Aces. I'm not giving up on them just because we got a couple players down. So I think they're still going to be okay.
Well, looking at the box score before I get Coach Johnson, is Kelsey and Jackie. It looks like they've been playing the entire half. They got 20 minutes up each, and then Wilson and Clark and George all kind of pretty much sharing 2 minutes behind that. But that seems like that's who the Aces have relied upon for the first half
Hmm.
of the game. So interesting to see what's going to happen here in the second half, as obviously the Liberty bench. I want to say they're alive, but according to the stats here, you only have two players that haven't played at all, and you have everyone else in averaging about 14 minutes, and about I think the least would be Kayla at 7 minutes. But Coach Johnson, your thoughts?
I have to agree with Coach Mack. I think it definitely puts them in a tough position, especially the momentum that they have coming off the last game. Jocko Jones, I think what has kind of been unspoken is that she has a chip on her shoulder with
Whew.
this current series. She lost last year when she was with the Suns to the Aces. And coming back off of the two-game losing streak that they had in Vegas, she's had a conversation with her team and really opened up. They said that she stepped up as a leader and showed her vulnerability to their team, and that basically, like, she's, hey, I'm taking it personal, and you can tell by her stats from the last game. I think it's definitely going to hurt them not having Chelsea. The last game, Aces finished the game with only 13 assists, whereas the Liberty finished with 28. And I think that was the biggest difference maker, is that the Liberty looked like they had better spacing, better ball movement. They had
Hmm.
so many uncontested shots that were open, and the Aces looked flat. It'll be tough for them, I think, to pull it out because they already don't have much depth in their bench that they utilize.
Hmm.
So some people are going to have to step up and be prepared to play big minutes. And this is the time for Asia. You wanted that MVP. You felt you deserved that MVP. Well, this is the time where your leader is out. It's time for you to go ahead and step up and fulfill that role. Not saying that she's incapable, but it's just more, it's more on her now as that next leader for her team to step up.
All
Hmm.
But
right.
I think I definitely see this being a difficult win for the Aces to pull off. I do think that this might go to game 5.
Okay.
But what's quite interesting is that even though we have those two out, how close the game is at the half. Just looking at the stats right now, you got Brianna Stewart. She only has 4 points and 8 rebounds, and she's played 18 minutes. So we all know how Stewart can be. She may show up, she may not. And for her to be this late in the game and only having 4 points, maybe she'll come back with a better second half. Maybe not. So I don't know. And then Asia, she's just right at 9 with 18 minutes. So it's going to be interesting to see what this second half is going to be like. Usually the Aces come in and turn it up. I hope they do, so we can go ahead and close this out. But you never know.
This is definitely going to be a defensive effort. They
Yeah.
definitely cannot get caught trading baskets, and neither team really wants to be caught in a position of trading baskets. I mean, they both have so much offensive power on each side and the ability to score in a high volume in a short amount of time.
Hmm.
So I think definitely the Aces didn't show a great defensive effort the last game. Like I said, they looked very flat, but
Yeah.
it's about, I always say defense wins championships and offense sells tickets.
Yep. Rebound win games.
Wait, is that key factor number 4? I gotta write that down. Remind me, send me a text later. That's gonna be key factor number 4. Good to put in there. Because that was actually good. Listen, ladies, you guys know Ron called me crazy. I would love to see, even if it's a celebrity match, I would love to see coach and coach take it on the team and bring it onto the court. I don't even want them to say anything. All I want them to do, I want it like the movies where both of them just come in and let the double doors just swing open and the smoke comes in behind them. And here comes the rest of the squad. That would be
Man,
like the
they
movie of
are.
the year. I would absolutely love to see
That
that.
is hilarious.
Look, I have my bag of popcorn ready when they step on to do the analysis of the WNBA playoffs. I love it. They are both just phenomenal. Thank you, ladies.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. They are. This team is something else. This team is something else. And Coach Gannon, by all means, you have free range to come back exactly when you want. Matter of fact, if your wife would like to come back on with you so we can see
Yes.
the mystery person behind the team's success, it
The
would be absolutely
brains.
phenomenal.
The brains behind Ganon Baker. Here she is right here.
She got the 3 B's, man. She loves basketball. She reads the Bible, and she's beautiful. So,
Oh,
no, man. She just texted me. I got to head on out, so I will save that for the next episode.
Sure, no worries. But listen,
Yeah,
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it.
no
Especially
problem.
the 3 key factors. We just added a 4th one not too long ago, so we'll put that up there as well. But listen, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And again, please let everyone know where they can reach you.
Just Google me, Ganon, Ganon Baker, Baker. I'm easy to find. I have a website. I'm on all social platforms. I promise you, if you send a message about life or basketball, I'll get back to you. If you have any fluff conversation, probably won't respond to you. So, uh, my time is limited, but if you're serious about getting better, I promise you I will give you my time and maybe I can learn from you. So thank you very much. It's been an honor, Coach
Thanks a lot, man.
Mac, Coach Johnson, Ron, Angel. This has been a lot of fun. Sorry I can't stay on. I got to tuck my kids in, man. But I'd love to come on again if you guys want to do it. And it's been an honor, man. Thank you.
thank
You're
You're
you.
welcome, man. Thank you
you
for
as well.
coming, man. I appreciate you.
All right.
Enjoy your night.
Yes, sir. See you.
See you.
So before we end up closing out, because we all know now, of course, Phillies hat, we understand that. If I flip it around, it could be a Sixers hat. But before we close out the show, is it surprising to anyone whatsoever? Now, Coach Nurse tried to make it seem like I was so surprised that James didn't show up to practice. Really?
Really.
Are we really surprised?
No, I think you one even better. Joel and B was like, okay, maybe he has something to do. I don't know. I'm like, how do
I
you
love
just
it.
not know where this man is? And he's like the hot topic of the country. Really? So that's how y'all want to present this media days? I don't
Yeah,
know.
he
I
Maybe
know.
he, come on now.
I find
making
it
excuses.
interesting that that's the route that they chose to take when that wasn't the route that James took during his
No.
his segment in the media.
Right.
Yep.
He came straight forward. This is my problem. This is the issue that I have, and I can't trust them.
Yep.
That's what he said. It was very clear. So to follow up, like you said, with the media day of like, I didn't know. It's like,
Mhm.
but it's a matter of maybe they can't speak on it right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Could be.
That's probably is what it is. And but he's in Houston doing his thing.
Chilling.
That's where he wants to be in Houston, really.
Exactly. I'm like the comedy of that. But yet
Yeah,
you wanted to leave Houston and yet you're there.
yeah. He likes
Exactly.
Houston. He likes it a lot.
My question is it even about a championship anymore?
I don't think so.
That's
Apparently not. Because
No.
I'm telling you, the last 2 seasons, listen, we want to call this a fired up segment. We can talk about the fired up segment because the last 2 seasons, he gave up. When it came to the playoffs, I don't care who could say whatever. The most NBA analysts of all time could come out here and tell me otherwise. He gave up. When Joel
Yep.
Embiid came back last year from injury, after game one, he was slicing and dicing everybody. But Joel
Mhm.
Embiid came back and he was like, "Oh, you're back? Okay. Let me
Hmm.
get back." So what's the point? So obviously you
Mhm.
don't want to win a championship. Whatever happened between you and Daryl, y'all need to fix that, hash it, whatever the case may be. But if you truly want to be in Philly, which I don't even believe, even if I had the Bible in front of me, I don't believe that he says that he want to retire as a Sixer because he
Yep.
said that about every stinking team that he's ever been on. So you can do us a favor and you can go ahead and close yourself out of the Sixers chapter because we already had to deal with one that went to New York. So we don't have to deal with another one because
Hmm.
Mhm.
this team is trying to rise above. And then you got Jimmy Buckets, love the guy, but trying to actively recruit Joel Embiid. So
Hmm.
if y'all don't want to be part of whatever's going on in Philadelphia, hey, listen, have at it. Take the trailways, Greyhound, Peter Pan, whatever you need to do. And that's a throwback to all the young kids. Y'all have no idea what I'm talking about. But take it back because the way I see it is if you have if you don't want to be there, don't be there. Just make it plain and simple. Just say, you know what, I'm bound out. You guys can keep my contract, whatever, blah, blah, leave it at that. But when you keep teasing and teasing and teasing, and then you want to
Hmm.
go back to Houston, personally, I really don't think the Houston fans want you back because Houston is trying to rebuild and they've been
Right.
doing pretty good without you there. And you coming there with your issues, how long will that last? Because when you went to New York, you did the same thing to New York. After you went there, oh my
Mhm.
God, I'm so glad I'm here at Big Apple, blah, blah, blah. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, why do I
I'm
have to
ready to
be
get
here?
out of here. Yeah.
Right.
And look,
Yeah.
Doc Rivers said it real good uh, when he was broadcasting the game the other day about James Harden. He was like, we don't know if he's going to show up today. We don't know if he's going to show up tomorrow. He hurt. You know, I don't know. I don't know. That's just the way it is with these guys these days. He said it really, really well. Like he don't, these guys, they're not serious about playing basketball. In other words.
Nope.
That's another thing is the love for the game is now like we're shying away from that. These
Hmm.
were not the things that you experienced and seen back in even the early 2000s. I mean, these things just didn't happen. You're a no call, no show. This is still your place of employment.
Hmm.
And there's still a level of professionalism that needs to be maintained, regardless
Hmm.
of you being unhappy with the situation. We're talking about a feeling that you have.
Right.
However, this is still a responsibility of yours, not only to show up, but to be there for your teammates as well. As a teammate, being on the other side of that, how can we build? Because let's say you're unable to get out of your situation, what are
Hmm.
you going to do? You just not going to play. Do you not love basketball enough to be willing to possibly not play? I mean, you're almost walking yourself out of the NBA right now.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
true.
Yep.
That's what I mean.
Well, a lot of them think that they have so much money that they can do that. But like you said, Coach, they only hurting their brand and they're hurting their image as far as saying like, man, I thought James Harden was a real man. I thought he was, an alpha male. I thought he was going to be, a type of guy that's going to go out there and be committed
Hmm.
to doing what he
Hmm.
needs to do for his team. Oh, he's taking the easy way out. And anybody can do that.
Anybody.
Exactly.
they
I
sure
just hate
can.
that the kids have to see someone such as James Harden, who obviously can be a tremendous role model for these kids. It's like, what are you, look at how you're displaying amongst the
Hmm.
world to these kids, and what message are you really sending them? So, I mean, clearly he's all about himself. He's very selfish as far as what he's doing, and then the way he's handling his business is really not being handled. So, like you said, I mean, why are you here? What is your why? What is your purpose?
Hmm.
What do you want out of all of this? So, I mean,
Right.
because at the end of the day, you're just really digging yourself in a deeper hole because now you have all these other teams watching what you're doing, watching how you move. Because if you come to there, I mean, who's to say you're not going to do the same thing there?
Exactly. I wouldn't even trust it, especially as a GM
Yeah.
and as a team. I don't want to take on that type of teammate as a player, especially at a place that has a great culture going. You know, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that can be difficult, especially in the NBA. I feel like to get everybody on the same page, everybody 2 feet in, bought into the system, and all on that, not trying to have too many chefs in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You have to be willing to play a role, know your role, and everybody has to conform to that. And I don't know if he is the type of player that is willing to do that, because now, like you said, look at the track record. Look at you leaving out of Houston, what happened in New York, now Philly. And I don't
Mhm.
know if going to the Clippers is going to
Mm-hmm.
make a difference. You want to go to the Clippers, but again, what's your why? What is the end goal here?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We'll
Them,
see.
them,
We will
them
see
bad
how.
money.
Yep. We'll see how it plays out. But we're going to wrap up the show as we gone into some extra bonus overtime. And so I thank Ganon Baker once again for coming on with us tonight. We do appreciate it. Next week, hopefully, we have one. We hope that she's able to make it. Letitia Hall will be one of our guests, and the other guest will be Jose Fernandez from USF Bulls women's basketball, who is taking the women's team to the tournament 2 years in a row, and fortunate enough now to be able to take his talents an extension until 2028. So we're hoping to have both guests on. One we definitely have confirmed, and the other one we'll wait and see exactly what ends up happening. So
Uh,
with
so
that,
Tish hadn't confirmed yet.
not yet.
Okay.
So we will find out. Hopefully this week. I'm still waiting. I think from the office end from the request I put in. So I'm waiting for that one to see what happens there. So with that being said, once again, thank you to everybody, Coach Mac, Coach Johnson, for Ron Briscoe, my lovely producer over in Studio B, and for everyone listening on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game, over on AMP Radio, right here on broadscsouth.com, and over on YouTube. And don't forget to please like and subscribe to the page. And by the way, before I sign off here, because let me bring this comment back up. When your Mrs. Davis when she said she was signing out because it was time to go to the gym, I believe. That was
Workout
not
time.
signing out workout time yet. So and that was a good one, son. I saw when she put that in there. But thanks everyone once again for your comments. Thank you for tuning in. And the people over on Twitch as well. Thank you, folks, over on Twitch for watching the show, listening into the show. And don't forget to download the apps on broadscsouth.com. You guys can download the apps, have fun with that. You can listen to all the different shows, including James Kanita, who is coming over from the former Tampa Bay Buccaneers, also played with the Indianapolis Colts. He will be the newest addition over to the radio side. And there is one other person to be announced, as the sports radio division side has now grown to 27 different talented shows. And we
Nice.
continue to grow, which is a beautiful thing. And Mr.
It
Johnson, great show. Oh, by the way, Mr. Johnson, now I'm really going to shoot myself in the foot here because I have to go back and
Oh,
edit this. But Mr. Johnson, how did we make out in Puerto Rico?
They came up short in pool play on a
is.
buzzer beater to the team from China.
ooh,
Wow.
Yeah, on a buzzer beater. That would have put them in the top 8, and they would have progressed on to the next round, but lost on a buzzer beater. Tough
Wow.
loss. I mean, they fought till the end, though. It was a really great experience. And
Mhm.
of course, I'm super proud of Mr. Johnson because he really performed and did really well, and he had some fun. So I was happy for him.
Well,
that's
that's
great.
good. As
Great
long as
job.
everybody had fun, that's the most important thing. So, with that, thank you once again to the crew. I
We
appreciate
see you
everyone,
later.
and we will see you all next week.